Hey, Dalton.
Hey
All
Sam.
right, let's keep chatting as we do. Another topic that I think we talk about a lot, and we don't blog about it a whole bunch, but I've heard some interesting things from other folks in the industry, from other customers, um, about the practice of project management and where that fits with marketing teams and marketing focused work.
Mhm.
So I've seen sort of companies work at this a little bit differently depending. Sometimes they've got really awesome processes and routines around how they roll out a marketing set of work, whether it's a campaign, whether it's working on a personalization or an A/B testing plan. And I've also seen ones where maybe there's a little bit of struggle because there's not maybe there's not set process in place, and maybe there's not a lot of background for the team to draw on in terms of like how you can manage that work as a project, um, kind of using agile project management processes, and all the things that like we on the IT side of things have seen before. What's your
Mhm.
experience with that?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the nail. I think there's a big shift now where usually project management is kind of reserved for the IT department. But, one of the things I've seen as it's crept over into the marketing side is a lot of times, places where I've seen it done really well, it's not even so much that they have project management, it's more of a culture.
Hmm.
And to give you an example, is a lot of times, a lot of these organizations, especially large ones, there's a very top down focus,
Yeah.
very, very hierarchical. And often, you need input from VPs, directors, they need to put in input, they need to execute on certain things, make decisions. And, if you're working on a project and that VP or director decides to blow it off, well, what can you do to hold them accountable, right? But these things delay projects and they result in, less than stellar work.
Yeah.
And so, areas where I've seen it done really well and, is where, yeah, you have your role and your responsibility and, wherever you sit in the org chart. But when it comes to project managers, those managers are given the ability to actually run the project and hold those team members accountable, regardless of your job title or where you sit in that organization.
Yeah.
And it works a lot better that way.
Yeah, the thing that I've seen work really well, whether you're running things like if you're doing all the things with like user stories and sprint planning, like that's not always as important, but the really big key is to have that sort of that single owner, that accountable person, who really understands the overall plan for what it is that's being done. When it's done well, whether that person is called a project manager, project owner, product owner, whatever that looks like on the marketing side of the house, when it works really well, that person understands where they're steering that ship. Understanding not just, okay, great, we have this tool and we're implementing this particular functionality, but understanding where it fits in the scheme of what they're trying to accomplish as an organization.
Right.
Because then when that person understands the bigger picture, they can then make sure that all the different team members who might be touching that functionality, understand what they need to deliver things efficiently. Where I've seen things go off the rails is, you know, no, everybody knows their own little piece of the puzzle, but they have no idea what that big picture is. And that's sometimes where I see things fall off. Um, so I worked with a customer years ago who, I love this story. So she moved to a different organization. I met her boss at an event. This is years after I worked with her, but apparently one of the things that she did to drive great process and really good change is they developed this delivery model that used project management, agile best practices to be really, really clear, both with their team that was executing, as
Mhm.
well as how they reported up to leadership, what was being accomplished and why, because they were really focusing on both, like stellar delivery and efficiency, but this culture of, delivering, measuring, and reviewing what they did, so that they were always optimizing whatever they did the time before. And then as a result, because of that cultural shift, they were able to grow that team like crazy because they were so consistently delivering value. The team was constantly, learning and improving in terms of like their own skill sets as well. So yeah, I mean, I think I think you're onto something. Like the importance of good project management, particularly in marketing efforts, cannot be underestimated. And I think, I mean, I would assume that we're not talking about like bloating process, right? Like I wouldn't advocate for, if there's elements of agile that you maybe don't need. I don't know. I'm still all about like the efficiency of, do what makes sense, but the things that can't go away are, the accountability and really tracking, um, meeting expectations, milestones, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, I think the accountability one is a big one.
Yeah.
I've seen it where, like I said before, going back to the culture conversation, where somebody, they hire a manager, a project manager, or somebody, and somebody above them feels like they can just blow them off because I'm twice your age, and on this part of the organizational structure. So when you see it done right, it makes a big difference in execution,
Yep.
and it builds upon itself, because once you kind of get 2 or 3 wins under your belt, they start to really see and benefit from having a good project management structure,
Yeah.
and it helps
Yeah, I mean
immensely.
yeah, and like I said, I've seen careers advance as a result of, having these good processes, because then what, you're making that process visible. And like I
Mhm.
know for me, like with, even just with our own marketing team, having that visibility and knowing what to expect when, rather than being something that is, it shouldn't be a scary thing for marketing teams, because it actually, when everybody's delivering well, it makes you look really, really good, because people can understand that the value, and the scope of what you're doing, and the efficiency that you're delivering it in. So
Oh yeah, we could talk about this for days.
yes, we could, but we won't. All right, I'm going to stop us here.